sick of scrolling online and watching black Americans sit there and advise their people not to support the immigration movement that's going on across the entire United States.
Okay, guys, we already helped you. We already tried to give you a whole amazing woman who was going to try to help you find legal pathways to citizenship without booting you out of the country and throwing you in illegal, horrible condition, alligator, Alcatraz type situations, who was going to help you settle your family members who are already situated in the U.S. and who need you, who depend on you financially, who depend on you emotionally, who was going to reform that? Okay? Who was going to reform our already deeply broken immigration system? I'm speaking from experience on that. We already helped you. Black people already helped you. We provided you one woman.
What have they done for us? They never supported our protests. Yes, they have. Go watch some old footage. You're going to see people in different shades, different colors, even sizes. It's a beautiful thing. And now I'm not simply going after black Americans, because I'm watching Hispanics, Latinos with legal status that simply just betrayed their people, saying, we don't support this.
For a moment, I even thought, like, I got completely wrapped up in the spirit of it all. But we know why you didn't like her. We know why you didn't like her. So let's drop the pretenses. We know why you voted for Donald Trump. But black people, we already provided you with an amazing whole woman, an amazing whole president who would have helped you stay in the U.S. to continue working, to continue being there for your family. And if you were illegal in the U.S., an illegal immigrant in the U.S., to help you find a pathway to citizenship.
You know what's crazy? Back in those days, black Americans weren't the only ones that were fighting for civil rights, for equality. You had the Puerto Ricans, you had the Chicanos, you had black Americans. And the beautiful thing is that even back in those days, there was unity going on behind closed doors. You had the Chicano movement, the Brown Berets, you had the Puerto Ricans, the Young Lords, you had the Black Panthers, all united. And guess what? Back in those days, you had people like this spreading that same harmful rhetoric. Oh, we shouldn't unite with the Puerto Ricans. Oh, we shouldn't unite with the Chicanos. Yeah, even back in those days, it was happening. If that wasn't the case, those movements would have been a lot larger. But guess what? There was a small group of people that saw the vision, and every time they united, they were successful. And unfortunately, back in those days, it was eventually broken apart when one of the leaders ended up passing away, or they were hit with RICO charges, and eventually they just dispersed.
And black people tried to tell you, we've been through Jim Crow, and you wouldn't be here, immigrants I mean, you wouldn't be here if it weren't for the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship. And let me tell you, black people have never ever gotten anything because America wanted to be fair. They got it, we got it, because we fought like hell. Because we fought like hell. And not only did we fight for ourselves, we fought for everyone. To eradicate hate, to say that we can be proud of our sisters and brothers of all races, of all ethnicities, but systemic racism has been so embedded in America that there's one of two extremes, and sometimes two of two extremes. Either black people need to be the scapegoat, or they need to be the person who comes and carries the torch for a cause that they're not really going to get any thankfulness for after. And there's also this amount of anti-blackness that's embedded within Latino communities that is really now surfacing. People are talking about, but it really doesn't make any sense. A lot of the Native American Latino communities in North America who have emerged over the past century, they come from both the Americas, but what were they before? What were they before Christopher Columbus and the African people who were yanked out of their homelands and brought here? What were they before? Like so many Latino communities are actually an amalgamation of European DNA and African DNA and indigenous DNA. I'm sorry. European and indigenous DNA, but they've also got African DNA as well. So the fact that African people tried to tell you, I mean, there's so much history there. Even people who were in the US before slavery. But even those giant statues, like think about those giant statues of black faces that are in Mayan and Inca cultures that were in North America long before settlers from Europe ever came to America. So that shows you that we are brothers and sisters. We're cousins. We're big sis. We're big bro.
A lot of people don't know this, but back in the day, during Martin Luther King, he understood the vision. He understood and he motivated the Puerto Ricans to form and fight for their civil rights and equality, and the Chicanos. And they did. They formed their stuff. And guess what? I love this quote, and it says a whole lot. It says, "We cannot walk alone. We will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." Martin Luther King. Guess what? These are your neighbors, your friends, and even family. And that type of abandonment is loud. I think all of us felt that type of abandonment throughout our lives at a smaller scale, from friends, betrayal, and so on. You wanted someone to speak up for you, and they didn't. Why would you expect civil rights, equality for your people, but not for everyone else? Doesn't make much sense, does it? See, now we're going backwards.
But the thing is if you've ever had a white mom, a black mom, a black dad, a black nanny, a black teacher, you know that is not within our nature to be like, oh, well, you didn't listen to us and now the world is on fire, but we're going to come help you. No, that is not us. If your black mom, your black big sis, your black big bro, your black dad, your black grandma, your black uncle, if they tell you, hey, you better stop, you're going to hurt yourself. They say it another time. I told you better stop, you're going to hurt yourself. When you finally hurt yourself, we're not going to come over there and start rocking you. We're going to let you sit there looking like you're stupid with the slump lip. Because we told you. So I feel like there needs to be a certain amount of humility, of acknowledgement, of actions. There has to be an acknowledgement that you effed up. Like that's where we're at. You gotta acknowledge that you effed up, and you gotta help yourself. Like if anybody, black people don't have political power in the U.S. They don't. Like we don't have financial power in the U.S. and our political power is sort of wrapped up in this back and forth pendulum dichotomy of what we've come through from slavery. So it's like, we can help ourselves to a certain extent, but there's so much anti-blackness in the country that, when we help others, it always just turns into us being on the chopping block. So you guys are going to have to go to this alone. We tried to warn you. You had the opportunity. Like, this is hard head makes a soft booty. So you were hard-headed, and now you're dealing with the consequences. Take some accountability. Don't go trying to pull black people into this, because now you're flip-flopping. When you flip-flop and say, oh, we helped you black people. When you guys had BLM, we helped you. And what did BLM accomplish? What did Black Lives Matter accomplish other than a lot of people being hurt by the image of some infiltrators, of some people who infiltrated the movement? The civil rights movement, the 14th Amendment, the reason that those had so much traction is because black people were able to come together and fight against a system. And right now, that's what's on the Latinos to do. We didn't have to be here. Again, we gave you guys a whole amazing woman. Now you're just going to have to take this butt whooping.
But what they don't want us to do is unite. Because all them streets that you see right now in Los Angeles, New York, and so on, guess what? If we come together, they will be even more full. Every square footage of them streets will be completely covered. And they don't want that. I hate that Hispanic Latinos go against their interests. I call them out all the time, especially with what Donald Trump is doing. And even black Americans. You know that Donald Trump was actually at a military event, and he goes on to say that he's renaming military bases to Confederate generals' names. Do you know what the Confederacy represents? It represents them preserving slavery back in those days. I'm sick and tired of y'all going against your own interests. The people that are speaking and passing on this harmful rhetoric for even the younger people, guess what? Y'all are not even any better than the white supremacy. Who needs the white supremacy when they have you doing the work for them? With that being said, I'm going to leave y'all with that. Like this video, comment, be respectful, and as always, follow me.
Get him, Puffy Lion, dog.
I will say this. Black people are truly a forgiving people. I won't say that, from what I said earlier, that might make it sound like black people are just heartless and cold and are gonna, I guarantee you right now that there's black civil rights activists, black attorneys, black lawyers, black advocacy groups, and the Congressional Black Caucus that is working on your behalf right now. Are they super loud with it? Probably not, because again, we gave you a whole amazing woman. We wouldn't have to be here today. But there's going to be people, because when we advocate for stuff, we don't just advocate for our community. When we vote, we don't just vote for our community. We try to vote for what's going to be the best for the entire country. And I just wish that there was more people to have done that when there was a choice between a fascist, insane, delusional man and this whole amazing woman. So, yeah, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments.
One resident who would be impacted by Medicaid cuts is 64-year-old Irma Arredondo, who voted for Trump in 2024. Irma has several chronic health issues, including type 1 diabetes. She's also a full-time caregiver for her daughter, who has cerebral palsy, and her sister, who has Turner syndrome.
Valerie have her medication for her seizures. She needs care of everything. This is for the cholesterol too. This is also for my blood pressure.
So Medicaid pays for all of it?
Yes.
If you didn't have Medicaid, how much would this cost you? How much money?
Thousands maybe.
Thousands. And that's just for you?
That's for me.
Not for your daughter? Not for your sister?
No. The medicine that my daughter takes for seizures, I won't be able to afford it. So we feel hopeless if those cuts come, What we're going to do.
Irma was a farm worker for more than a decade. She believes that some of her and her children's health issues can be linked to the pesticides she was exposed to while working in the fields.
When I was pregnant with my child, I was working in the field. I remember it was this little airplane and sprayed us. But when my baby born, the doctor just said, "Uh-oh, something's missing." And when he gave me my baby doesn't have her arm.
So with these risks that you and your community face in agriculture, and then to have the system threaten to take away your health insurance, to take away protection, how does it make you feel?
Like I told you, I feel like these stubby nuts in the back, But why? Why when we put food on their tables? That we risk our health. Look at me right now. Look at me, how many sicknesses that I have. The COPD, I didn't have COPD at that time. We got all in the fields. Where else?
We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board.
The $880 billion in Medicaid cuts proposed in President Trump's budget will help pay to permanently extend his 2017 tax cuts.
The largest tax breaks would go to the wealthiest individuals. Are those your values?
No, that's not right. ¿Por qué van a hacer tanto recorte? Sí, tanto recorte. ¿En dónde lo van a poner ese dinero? ¿Dónde?
In the last election, who did you vote for?
I feel embarrassed to tell you, but before years, all the years back, since I got my citizenship, I said I was a Democrat, but then, in these last elections, I voted as a Republican. Why? Because I'm against abortion. Para mí la palabra conservador es tener valores. I grew up with values, con las enseñanzas de mis padres.
Family values.
Family values.
Irma isn't the only one in District 22 who feels betrayed by the administration's plan to gut Medicaid.
The only people they're hurting are the poor people that really need the stuff.
I'm amazed of how many people from the Black community are telling me to go back to Mexico, telling Mexicans to go back to Mexico because we're illegal and it's a crime. It was also a crime when your ancestors went to Mexico, when they were escaping the white people and Mexico helped them. A lot of Mexicans got killed for that. They helped them. They help your people. We didn't oppress you guys. And this is how you guys pay us. In the past, Black people needed Mexicans. Right now, Mexicans need you guys. And in the future, you never know, because things change. Sometimes, maybe the white people are gonna need us. Maybe the Black people are gonna need us. You don't know, because God give us things, give us blessings, but He can take them away so fast. So you need to be humble. You need to be humble.
Let's drop the pretenses. We know why you voted for Donald Trump. But Black people, we already provided you with an amazing whole woman, an amazing whole president who would have helped you stay in the U.S. to continue working, to continue being there for your family. And if you were illegal in the U.S., an illegal immigrant in the U.S., to help you find a pathway to citizenship, while also rooting out those outliers of criminals who are immigrants in the U.S. Not like the Trump administration makes it seem, but those outliers, yes. She was going to help with that. I mean, I'm gonna pull race out of this for just a moment. She was going to extend a child tax credit. I don't know if you remember that Trump just introduced a budget bill that's gonna cost the U.S. not $3 million, but $3 trillion. Donald Trump is deporting legal citizens, and he's cutting Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, retirement. People who have already worked and paid their dues, they can't even retire comfortably. They can't go to a nursing home. And immigrants are being thrown in alligator Alcatraz. So that whole amazing woman was going to, conversely, extend a child tax credit. Okay, so if you had children and you're in a working class family, you're working these essential jobs like restaurant worker or truck driver or nurse or any kind of blue collar work that you can think of. And many people think that meant that white collar jobs, secretaries, office assistants, executive assistants, they think that those types of jobs, pay a living wage always, but they don't always pay a living wage. So even some white collar workers, she was going to extend those to people who have children. She was going to extend a child tax credit for those people like me, like myself, who want to build families, She was going to give, you had this whole amazing woman. Maybe you remember during her campaign, she talked about the sandwich generation. She talked about the sandwich generation. You might not remember that. She talked about the sandwich generation of people who are taking care of their parents and children. She was going to help you out with that. She was going to give you a tax credit for that as well. But instead of the working class getting tax credits, right now the billionaires are getting tax credits. And 90% of U.S. income earners are losing money. You're losing money. Donald Trump just spent $3 trillion of our kids and our grandkids' futures. Just so you understand that. Yours as well, for people who have worked and paid into retirement and paid into Social Security. But they just spent $3 trillion to take away your health care, to take away your food stamps, to take away your disability, to take away FEMA, okay? That's what just happened. So I hope you guys are happy with the price of eggs. Now, I do have to say, for those Spanish-speaking voters that voted for Donald Trump and did not vote for the whole amazing woman that we provided you with, it might have been a language barrier, you know, and I don't say that in any kind of way that's meant to offend anybody. You know, I've learned other languages. I understand that a language barrier could happen. So when you guys were saying, I will vote for Donald Trump, you know, maybe there was a language barrier. Maybe when black people were giving you all of these warnings, you know, and we were giving white women and white men and Latino men and, you know, Palestinian American people and Jewish American people, we were giving, well, Jewish American, okay, they pretty much voted for Kamala Harris. But still, when we were dropping all these warnings saying these fascists are about to be pure racism and they're about to give all these tax cuts to these billionaires and they're about to enact some terrible Jim Crow transatlantic slave trade level fascism that's really going to hurt families. When we were saying all that, because we knew from experience, you guys were saying, I will vote for Donald Trump. So maybe there was a language barrier. You know, maybe you guys weren't understanding the red flags that we were trying to put up. A little note to the wise here. A little piece of advice. There is a wonderful capability on YouTube where you can turn on translations, automatic translations into your language from almost any language. Okay, they're not always available. Sometimes it's a little wonky, but a lot of the times you can put those captions on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, so you understand what people are saying. But let's bring it back. Let's come back. Donald Trump added $3 trillion to the debt to cut Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, Social Securities, and 90% of U.S. income earners. And that includes people who were not legally staying in the U.S. That includes Hispanic people who came to America to work. They are having those benefits cut. But Kamala Harris was going to give $3,000. She was going to give $3,000 to anybody in the U.S. who was going to have children. She was going to give a $20,000 tax credit to first home buyers. I don't know if you guys remember that. You know, and I don't know if you remember Harris talking about, or like earlier where I said about that sandwich generation where, you know, and this includes illegal immigrants. So instead of you being booted out in the country, you were going to be given money to help you and your family if you were a part of that sandwich generation that had elderly people at home with, you know, very terminal type conditions, you know, extreme diabetes, on dialysis, cancer, etc. And you had children at home, so she was going to give you guys a tax credit. So instead of now you guys having legal maneuvers to find a pathway to citizenship in the U.S., plus also having some help from the government that you deserve, that you clearly need because you pay taxes in this country, now you're just being booted out into alligator Alcatraz. Yeah. And so America is such a powerhouse, you know, but America is ways behind from China and Russia because we're not investing in renewable energies. The people on the Republican side are saying that climate change doesn't exist, and they keep jamming more and more money into big oil, corrupt money that's going all of which ways. What was that plane that Donald Trump got from? Yeah, okay, anyway. So they're taking money to continue to invest in these dying economies like oil and gun sales to keep perpetual war and to keep our climate and our earth dying. Whereas, wasn't it Biden that introduced the Infrastructure Act? Wasn't it him that introduced the CHIPS Act? You know, to bring more manufacturing jobs to America, to bring more jobs that invested in technologies, AI, electric vehicles, which China is already dominating. Didn't Biden do that to build more roads, to build more bridges? Yeah. Harris would have continued the same thing, and now that's going to the billionaires. Trump just cut a $3 trillion. I want you to think about how many zeros are in there. $1 trillion tax cuts don't need to be paid back to billionaires. Okay, I will put up the chart that shows you literally, if you make below $1 million, you are not going to see anything. And even if you make $1 million, you're going to see very little. These are for the people who are in the hundreds of millions. So now what's going to happen? Immigrants are being persecuted in many ways that African Americans were being persecuted in the 1950s and the 1960s. And even before segregation, back to Reconstruction and the Civil War. You guys are being booted out of your homes, your Medicare, your Medicaid, your food stamps, FEMA. And this doesn't just cover immigrants. This also covers lily white Americans, covers Indian Americans, we all get hurt from you guys' terrible decisions. But immigrants specifically, since we're specifically talking about that in this video, ICE agents are pulling up to places in masks and peeling people from their children. They're pulling up to courts when people think that they're just going to turn in some documentation for their green card renewal. They're being yanked out of their country, the country that they've come to call home, and being sometimes sent to countries that they don't even know. They've never been to. Like, it is what it is. Guys, before I let you go, a great way that you can support this channel is by clicking the like and subscribe button and commenting below. That is a free way that you can help boost this video out into the algorithm. Yes, the algorithm can be prejudiced. It can be a little bit unforgiving. It could be a little bit shady. Can skip over some of my stuff. So that's a great way to push this stuff into the algorithm, and it's free. So just click the like and subscribe button, click the bell so you know whenever I post a video, and you can also type in a comment below.